This pressure that comes with the block, you could end up inside of a box when you get your outpost by out after getting set up by a stop. Opportunity, it doesn't knock. No, that's not right there, be the cops. And all of that stress that we talking, still keeps punching the clock. You think I want to sweep your floor and make the floor? Fuck, I want to take your orders for when your favorite star got an Audemars that's worth more than mama's car. Type of shit that you want to say fuck the law. When your rent's due and your kids fall, nigga, we don't even own our own corner store, so call the waters, cause call them more, We want to be an entrepreneur. We want sign checks. We want work for ourselves. We want own the nets. You're too much of a threat when you're on your own assets. So the only thing they show us is how to be an outlet so we won't connect. Let's say hi like hola. Listen to Hova. Whip up a rover. Been watching Power. Tommy and Ghost, bruh. So I need some powder. Fish scale and soda for 99 cents. Salary penny, you gotta pay rent. So there's only 99 cents. Make it make sense, make it make sense. So there's only 99 cents. Salary penny, you gotta pay rent. So there's only 99 cents. Make it make sense, make it make sense. See the money is a motive. Repeat my history, crack cocaine just like a motive. It's plain and simple, way back when my mother hustled. It's in my blood, so I feel like it's time to grind, just like the times when niggas lie. Hold up, back then was the bad days. Motherfuckers pushed me halfway. I was a crack baby. Tell me nothing about my mama and the struggle. See, 11 minutes, fucking trying to stop when she hustle. Selling everything in the house, goddamn. She ain't give a damn about stocks, goddamn. So my older brother had the man up, had to take care of us in the piece with 4 kids. A one on the way with no food, no food in the fridge, no smoke shit. Got food stamps from the neighbors. Sour demons, no favors. Late night, you wish I bodegas. Over bread and some meat, some mayo. Kool-Aid had about 4 flavors. And when time with the cash out, I can lash out. Told me to take food stamps. $15 for that kid, fuck with that shit. Then the young nigga noticed that he could be the coldest. Take back what they owed us. Whole world on the shoulders. No food in the kitchen with the stove work. 10 dimes in the sack and he points to the back, say, I can see that so 99 cents. Salary penny, you gotta pay rent. So there's only 99 cents. Make it make sense, make it make sense. So there's only 99 cents. Salary penny, you gotta pay rent. So there's only 99 cents. Make it make sense, make it make sense. So let me get this shit straight. So I gotta go take out loans. gon' wake up, you gon' die in your dreams. I tell you once, won't tell you no more. I swear these crackers try to kill us slow. Just spoke to a nigga and fed me up on parole because of the dope, but it feel like the hoes in this world and double together. Know it's golden and ghetto. I'm in the city blazing with my niggas. Just told the devil the scope never settle. Hey, the props. Sometimes these niggas keep talking about, you respect my religion, I respect your religion. Boy, your ass need to stop and ask me the props. Like we all come together. You know what I'm saying? They say God so loved the world. God so loved the world, and all your ass need to stop and ask me the props. Give a damn what you talk about. Don't give a fuck what you believe. You gotta stand up to serve my God. We don't pray on our knees, nigga. Yeah. Hey, gentlemen, y'all don't pray on our knees, nigga. Gotta stand up. You know what I'm saying? Boy, your ass need to stop and ask shit. Oh, I'm gonna step outside of the show for the fake niggas. Stay silent, I got it. Let's go, let's go. I ain't taking no losses. Ain't no talking, but we on the floor. Ain't no peace, just paper job. I'ma be low to the right off. Tell them we can't keep it slave. And I can never let bygone be bygone. Got you, baby mother on high, on high. Baby pants through the fire. Ask you the props. That be so below to the Lord. How dare your body? You never will fail, bitch. I can afford it. I prepare start you bring my water. They should lead us weak. Let them lies slip through their teeth. They ass need to stop and ask you the props.
That's just the reality, Christian. I'm sorry to hurt your feelings. I know your pastor lied to you every Sunday for 30 years. Right. But that's what the church is for, lying. That's why it exists to lie. But money on your pockets.
Boy, your ass need to stop and ask you the props. Damn what you talk about. Don't give a fuck what you believe. Nigga, I stand up to serve my God. We don't pray on our knees, nigga. We don't pray on our knees, nigga. Gotta stand up to serve my God. We don't pray on our knees, nigga.
Shalom again, my brothers and sisters. This is the real Jews are black. My name is Arya. Now I'm going to go into the scriptures and show a lot of these lies that they've been telling out here about the Bible is for everybody. I'm going to clear that up. And that the Bible is the book of the Israelites. And that the Bible do speak about the color of the people. And that they were dark-skinned people, what you call black people. I'm going to prove that. Now, I'd like to go into Jeremiah 14:2 in the Bible. And I want my reader to read that for me. Then I'm going to go into some books, and I'm going to show that the real Jews are black, and it states that in the scriptures. In the Hebrew, I'm going to show it in the Hebrew. And I'm going to show it in English. Jeremiah, Judah mourneth, and the gates thereof languish. They are black unto the ground. See, that's clear? That's the 14th chapter of Jeremiah. Jeremiah, the 14th chapter. Read it again, brother. Judah mourneth, and the gates thereof languish. They are black unto the ground. What chapter you at? Jeremiah, chapter 14, verse 2. Judah mourneth, and the gates thereof languish. They are black unto the ground. So let's check that out in Hebrew and see if it really says that. See if it really says they are black unto the ground. So I'm going to get another book, and I'm going to look up this in Hebrew and see what it says in the Tanakh in Hebrew. Then I'm going to bring it up close on the camera and show you what it says in the Hebrew. Now, I'm going to do that now. Like I said, in Jeremiah 14:2, it says, Judah mourneth and the gates thereof language. See, this is the Hebrew Bible, written in English and Hebrew, and it was put out by the Hebrew Publishing Company. I'm going to show the front of that in a minute. This is Jeremiah the 14th chapter. Now I'm going to go down on the words and show you that's exactly what it says. That's Jeremiah the 14th chapter there you're looking at. That's on the line of the TV. It says, Abala. Hold the book straight. Hold the book still, brother. Don't move the book. I'll move the camera. Abala Yahuda, which means mourneth Judah. Washa Iria Amalu Qadaru La'adetz. Kidaru La'adetz. See that word Kidar up there? Don't move the book. See the word Kidar? That word Kidar, hold the book still, brother. That word Kidar means dark skin or bay. And the next word is La'adetz, to the earth. Kidaru La'adetz, dark skin or bay unto the earth. So you so-called Jews that's looking in, you see exactly what I'm telling you. You see, if any rabbis is looking in, you see exactly what I'm saying is correct. That word Kidaru means dark skin or bay, La'adetz, unto the earth. Who's dark skin to the earth? Judah, Yehuda. That's who's dark skin to the earth. That word Kidaru, La'adetz, means dark skin or day unto the earth. You got a qua, a da, and a ra. Now we're going to look that word up in a Hebrew English Bible dictionary and see what it says. Now I'm going to show you these two words, one in the Tanakh and the other one in the dictionary. See the Kedah, see you got a qua, a da, and a ra. What does it mean? Dark-colored. To be dark-colored, brother. To be dark-colored. That's what that word means. To be black. That's what it also means. Now, this is the word over here, the same word. A qua, a da, and a ra means to be dark skin. That's what it means. To be dark skin. Dark colored means dark skin. See, that's crystal clear. That's the same word. Same word. Hold the book still, brother. Same word there. And that whole line says, mourneth Judah. Washa Iria Amalu Qadaru La'adetz. Dark are they unto the earth. Judah mourneth, and the gates thereof languish. Dark are they unto the earth. Dark skin are they unto the earth. That's what it says. Like I proved over here what the word means. Dark colored. And it also means to be black. Okay? I'm showing you the Tanakh here.
Hey, Shalom Israel. Yahweh Shimon Shabbat Thumb to the brothers. And Yahweh Shemar Elohim Shimon Shah to all the sisters of the nation of Israel. You understand? What you just seen was a video about High Priest Ariel out of the Isupk. And he was basically just breaking down the Lashawan Qadash, you understand, as it's a language that pertains towards us as blacks, Hispanics, and North American Indians. And he broke down one particular scripture in which I'm going to dive into right now, which is Jeremiah 14:2. You understand what High Priest Ariel was breaking on down as far as for the meaning behind the words that is in the Bible. You understand, which is something that we all need to know as it pertains to us understanding our own language. You understand? But before I dive into that, I'm about to go ahead and hit up the Lashawan Qadash chart right now, so that way we can all be able to understand exactly how to pronounce our own alphabetical letters. All right. So for those of you online who may be watching this class live right now, who may be unfamiliar with what this is about, I'm gonna break it on down to you. As you see right up in the board, this is pronounced as Lashawan Qadash. All right. Altogether, it is pronounced as Lashawan Qadash, which means it's like an and it's translated as holy tongue. Okay. This would have looked like in our own original formation of Hebrew itself. This is known as the ancient Hebrew format to where you have both connectors and then separators. All right. Separators is just connected by just a singular um, vowel, a singular letter by itself, and then you have connected to where both vowels, or in this case, both letters, are connected together to bring out one one singular pronunciation, or one word. All right. So this will be pronounced as reading it from the right to the left, because in the Hebrew we read and we write everything out from the right hand side to the left hand side, not from the left to the right like how we do English. Okay. So this right here will be pronounced as Lashawan Qadash, Lashawan Qadash, which means holy tongue. All right. This right here is the ancient Hebrew format of all 22 letters. Down here at the bottom is the Syrian Hebrew format of all 22 letters in the Hebrew. Both of them are pronounced the same. Don't let nobody tell you otherwise. All right. So for people who like to say that Christ spoke Modern Hebrew is the same as ancient Hebrew. There's no difference. It's just only written differently, and that's that. All right. So what I'm about to do right now is I'm about to pronounce each and every letter singularly by themselves. So that way you can better have an idea how these letters is actually pronounced for both the ancient and the Assyrian. All right. So the first letter in the Hebrew alphabet is pronounced as ba. It's pronounced as a. Then the second letter is pronounced as ba, ga, da, ha, wa, za, kha, ta, ya, ka, la, ma, na, sa, I, pa, taza, qua, ra, sha, and tha. All right. So the pronunciation for the ancient Hebrew is the exact same for the ancient. It's the exact same for the Syrian. You just have to go on down to where you see the pronunciation is at, down towards the letter of the Syrian, and then that's that pronunciation. So we see up here, will be pronounced for the first letter in the Syrian. We see ba up here for the ancient Hebrew. We will go on down to ba for the Syrian Hebrew, and then that would be that pronunciation. All right. Now the next thing is that for these 5 additional letters in the Syrian Hebrew, these are the letters that you will place written out at the end of that word in the Syrian Hebrew. All right, it says it right here. Use these letters if letters above fall at end of word. So if any one of these letters, such as ka, ma, na, pa, and taza, if it happens to fall at the end of a word in the Syrian Hebrew, then this would be the character that you will put, as opposed towards its original format, in which you see right here. All right. And as well, if you would like a copy of the Lashawan Qadash chart, you can place your email in the midst of this class, so that way I can make sure I forward one on over to you, so you can better know your own language. You understand? So right now, what we're about to do is that we're about to go ahead and hit up the board. We're going to dive into Jeremiah 14:2 from what High Priest Ariah went into, as far as for what he was breaking on down in that video. And I'm about to write out that scripture up on the board right now. All right. So this is going to be Jeremiah 14:2. So I'm just going to go ahead and break the scripture on down. And then as I break the scripture on down, it's also a good thing to take note to, as far as like how scriptures in the Hebrew are actually broken down. All right. So give me some time as I write the whole entire scripture up on the board, and then at the end, I'm going to go over it. All right. Okay, so this is it as far as for Jeremiah 14:2. I'm about to go ahead and break it on down for you, starting up here from the right hand side, working our way on all the way on down towards the left, towards the bottom. Okay, so the first word here we have right. It's like so as far as for the first word, in which we have right here, this is pronounced as Abdullah. Abdullah in the Hebrew is known as mornif. So that's our first word. So we got mornif, which is pronounced as Abdullah. Now we have Yahawada. All right. Yahawada in the Hebrew is Judah in this case, based on what's written out in the English in the scripture. And now we have, as far as for our next word, Washai Raya. Washai Raya. That would be and the gates. Actually, let me erase and let me put and on this side because this word right here is a preposition. So what right there is a preposition, which means and then we got the root word coming on there now, which is the gates, which should be sha'iraya. It's like sha'iraya. Sha'iraya is gate. It's like in this case gates in the Hebrew. Now and over here we have amalawa. Amal. It's like a amalawa. Amalawa. All right, so this would be language in the Hebrew. Amalawa. All right, which means language. Now we have Quadara. It's like a Quadarawa. Quadara is, of course, is a root word, but the wa here is a preposition, which in this case is acting as day, but but nonetheless, it is still black. All right. All right. So they are black. All right. And now we have la rataza, which means to the earth or to the ground. So that is what we have next, because la here is a preposition, and then of course we're going to put the in parentheses, and then we're going to say, let me see what the scripture says in English. English it says ground, so that's what we're going to go ahead and put. All right, so that would be that. As far as for la or rataza, which means to the ground. Now we have wa tazawakta. And that is and a cry. Well, is another preposition, which is and then we have the root word here, which is, bear with me, which is tezawakha. Tezawakha is a word here, which means cry. All right, so it would be and the cry. All right, I'll put the parentheses right here. And now over here towards the last line, all right, this here is going to be Jerusalem in the Hebrew. All right, so that would be Jerusalem in the Hebrew, which should be pronounced in the Hebrew as Yara Wash, sorry, Yahweh Shalom. All right. Yahweh Shalom. All right, which is Jerusalem in the Hebrew. Last but not least, we have our last word here, which is going to be is going up. And that is actually pronounced as Ilathak. It's like Ilatha. Ilatha is going up. All right. So the main word that here, but the main word here that high priest Ariel was breaking them down was black, which is Kordawa. All right, in the Hebrew. So saying this out loud in the Lashawan Qadash for Jeremiah 14:2, it would be Abalah Yahawada Washa'ai Raya Amal Lawa Kordawa La Awataza Wataza Second Wataza Wakak Ya. Actually, let me fix this Ya, and I'm just like the Ra a little bit. Ya Ya right second Ya Ra wa Shalom I La Da second I La Da. All right, which is translated as mourneth Judah and the gates. Language are they are black to the ground in their cry. And let me put of Jerusalem right here. I'm gonna put of parentheses. Of Jerusalem is going up. All right, so that's how you actually just break the words on down as far as for what they mean. A lot of people may not know exactly what words in Hebrew mean, which is why it's important that you have a Hebrew lexicon, a Hebrew English lexicon, or a Hebrew English dictionary that better help you on out as far as translating these terms in the Hebrew over into the English. You understand? You can even also download the Blue Letter Bible app on your phone to even help you along the way as well as far as for understanding Hebrew itself. All right. So what I'm about to do before I dive into the commandments of the Most High and breaking those on down into its Hebrew format, I'm going to lead us up in the board for just a brief moment. Allow y'all brothers and sisters to copy this information on down, screenshot it, whatever it is they need to do, and then I'm going to come on back and put out these commandments up here on the board. All right. All right. So now what I'm about to do now is erase this information off the board, and now we're about to finally dive into the commandments of the Most High. Now, I got some things that I need to bring on out on the laptop, which is very beneficial for a lot of brothers and sisters as it pertains towards the commandments of the Lord. Um, as far as for how the scripture goes, a lot of our people don't know that prior to us come over here into the Americas, is that the northern tribes came over here first. You understand? Besides so-called African Americans, besides the Haitians, besides the Jamaicans, you understand, which are the southern tribes of Israel. All right. So what I'm about to do now is actually show you some slides which I have on my laptop as far as for the Los Lunar Stone. You understand? I'm about to break that down right now. All right. So bear with me for a second. All right, so as you see on the screen right here, this is actually the Los Lunar Stone that was found over in New Mexico. This is this right here is supposedly written by the tribe of Isupk, so-called Mexicans. You understand? And this here is actually the stone which is written in ancient Hebrew, not in Syrian Hebrew, but the ancient Hebrew. All right. about it is that when the so-called white man found it, he took pictures of it. He went up on trying to move it and put it into a museum, but it was too heavy for it to be moved. You understand? So he just wanted just keeping it there. And over a period of time, the more people find out about some hardcore information like this, people started to go ahead and move their way on up towards the stone and want to messing with it. You understand? So I'm about to show you some more pictures of the stone in particular. This is what the stone looks like from afar. You understand? This is found. This stone right here is over in New Mexico. You understand? And here's a little bit of history as it pertains towards the stone. See? All right, there we go. That's a little bit better. So this right here is just a little bit of some history about the stone itself, about how it is known as the D. Kellogg stone. You understand, and how it was written thousands of years ago by an ancient tribe. You understand, and that ancient tribe is the tribe of Isupk. You understand, which are so-called Mexicans, because New Mexico is part of Mexico. You understand, the Mexicans originally spoke Hebrew before the conquistadors came and took them over to Spain, and then gave them Catholicism, made them follow the white Virgin Mary, as far as for giving them the cross, as far as for giving them Spanish names. That's where the original Spanish is actually white people. All right. So this is just a little bit of some history. If you want to go ahead and take a look at this, as far as for how it pertains towards the Lashawan stone. There are also other stones that both Gad and Issachar managed to bring on out in history, as far as for our culture, as far as for the Newark stone. You understand, that was found over in Newark. We also got the Back Creek stone here, which was found over in Tennessee. You understand, which is also written by the Northern tribes as well when they was here in the Americas prior towards the white European ambassadors before they came and conquered the Northern tribes as well. You understand, this is another format of ancient Hebrew, as you can maybe see right here. You understand, but nonetheless, I also have the Lashawan stone translated as well, in case if you would like this sheet, which I'm about to show it to you right now. Bear with me. Okay, so this right here is the Lashawan stone. The Lashawan stone contains um, the Ten Commandments that was written in I believe Exodus chapter 20. And the thing about that as well is that I actually have the translation of the Lashawan stone, which I'm about to break down right now. And as I'm pulling this image on my laptop right now, I actually have the translation of the Lashawan stone. If you would like a copy of this, as I bring it on up, so just bear with me for a moment. Okay, here we go. All right, so this right here, as I bring this on up on the screen, this is actually the translation of what I did as far as for the translation of the Lashawan stone. If you would like a copy of this, you can place your email in the midst of this class, so that way I can forward this to you along with the um, holy language, the holy tongue, Hebrew chart. I can better forward both of these to you if you would like. You understand? So this right here is also the translation of the Lost on the Stone, which I'm about to dive into tonight's class. All right. So, but nonetheless, we about to go ahead and dab on into it. Okay. All right. So I'm about to go ahead and put this one up in the board. All right. So now we have verse 2 kicking it on off. As far as for the Ten Commandments, it's going to start off verse 2 from off of the Lost on the Stone. All right. All right. So the first word here is actually Unkanya. And I'm writing this out in the ancient Hebrew because if you notice off the Lost Lunar Stone, it's written in the ancient Hebrew, not the Assyrian. All right. But the only thing is that it doesn't have connectors. The reason why it doesn't have connectors and separators, as aware of what you see right here on the board, is because we now SPK, we came up with the separators and the connectors to help us better understand our own language and make the proper pronunciation of these different words. You understand? So there's going to come a point, period of time, to where in the history of Israel, when we are actually on our own land, we won't be using separators and connectors. These are basically just our training wheels that help us to pronounce these words and how they should be pronounced. You understand? All right. So we have Ankaya in the Hebrew, which means I am. The next word here will be Yahweh in the Hebrew. All right, so now we have Alahayik, Alaha, Alahayika, Alahayika, which is your God in the Hebrew. And then as far as for Yahweh, that is just basically just, I'm going to put Lord here in this case. All right, so now we have Ashar in the Hebrew. Ashar in the Hebrew means who. That's what that means. Ashar. Alright, so now we have these words up next, which would be Hawataza. Hawataza would be has taken you, which is actually coincide with other yak. Alright. Alright, so Hawataza other yak is has taken you. This right here is you. This here is taken. So I'll just put them both together just to summarize both these words together. So now we have Montazarium. Montazarium is Egypt in the Hebrew. That is that translation. Now we have Mabayaf and the Lashawan Qadash. And Mabayaf means from home. Alright, and let me erase this real quick because this ma here is a preposition which means from. And I believe I did miss one earlier. And Bayaf in the Hebrew means home or house. Alright. Yeah. This ka right here is actually is a preposition which means your. And this is actually your God in the Hebrew. That because that is what Allah means. But when you have the yum at the end of whatever word that could be possessive, like for example, a wife or a dog or a man or a son, anytime we have ka or yum at the end of that, is always going to be your, whatever what that is. In this case, the word here is Allah, which means God in the Hebrew. Yum, it's like a, hold up, let me see, let me double check. Ka at the end is what makes it your. All right, so either if you could say yum or ka in this case, it's also gonna be your. All right, so or it could be plural. All right, but nonetheless, as I underline it right here, Allah, these three letters here, Allah, it means God. All right, and then we have your ka. The ka at the end is what makes it personal. Is what makes it your God. You understand? The nation of Israel only has one God, in which is the Most High. All right, Yahweh in the Hebrew. So Allah, which is God, and then the ka at the end, it makes it your God. If there was no ka, then it would just be Allah, which would just be God by itself. It's just that simple. All right, so that's just one preposition there. And then we have another preposition here, which is ma, which is from, and then we have bayaf, which is the root word here, which is house. All right, so anytime when you see me underline a particular set of words, that just basically just a root word separate from the preposition. What is a preposition? A preposition is letters from off the Lashawan Qadash chart, or in this case, the Hebrew language chart, that is acting as words that is coincide with the root word itself. You understand? If anything, which I'm breaking on down to miss this class at all, may sound confusing, just ask y'all questions, so that way I can maybe help elaborate as it pertains to what I'm breaking down. All right. So right now we are in verse 2. Hold up. Bear with me for a second. So this right here was verse 2. I'm about to show you what the next verse is about to come up in a minute. All right, so this is verse 2 continually. I'm about to write out the last word of verse 2 of now. right, so now we have Ibadium. All right, Ibadium in the Hebrew means of slaves. And that is that for verse 2. All right, so this was verse 2 right here. All right, and then the parentheses I'm going to put verse 3. All right, so blue is going to be verse 3 right here. And the thing is about the Ten Commandments in the Most High written out in the Hebrew, it would always start out the majority of the time with la. La in the Hebrew means no or not. All right, but we're gonna put what the scripture says in English, which is not. All right, so that's what we're putting right here, la, which means not. And then we have Yahaya. Yahaya in Hebrew means um, there be. Not there be. Alahayim. La ha yum. Now Alahayim in Hebrew in this case means gods. Not there be gods. Okay. So this right here is verse 3. We have Al, Yahaya, Alahayim, Akaryum, Al, Pa, Num. All right, which is translated as not there be gods other before my face. You understand? The Hebrew language, when you translate what's written out in the English to the Hebrew, it's always going to sound like this because Hebrew is a much more direct language as opposed to English. All right. So this is verse 2 and verse 3 from Mount the Lost on the Stone. And at the very end of everything, which I'm going to write out off and on the board, I'm going to show you how the tribe of Issachar wrote out the ancient Hebrew very differently than what we're doing right now. You understand? Every tribe got their own flavor of how they write out their own language, and the same way in which they speak. You understand? Just like the same way Issachar speaks with a certain accent of English today. Just like the same way the tribe of Judah, which are so-called Negroes, we speak English with a certain accent. You understand? Every tribe got their own flavor and the way in which they do their own thing. You understand? But I'm about to show you how Issachar wrote out the Lost on the Stone according to their own flavor. You understand? That's where it may throw some people off. All right, but nonetheless, this is verse 2 and verse 3 from off the Lost on the Stone. I'm about to lead us up in the board, and I'm going to come on back and then bring out the rest. All right. right, so that was actually verse 2 and 3. I'm about to put up the rest of the verses on up in the board up now. So just bear with me. This here is going to be verse 4 from off the list on the stone. And then again, as I said, it's also going to start out the majority of the time with la'ah in the Hebrew. La'ah means no or not. All right, but we're going to put not because that's what is written in the English. When you look at the Lost on the Stone, and not just the Lost on the Stone, but when you look at the Ten Commandments, I believe is written in Exodus 20th chapter, to where it will say not right there as well. All right. All right, so now we have the here, which is going to be shall. Anytime we have the as a preposition, it's going to be shall or thou shalt. All right, but nonetheless, the root word here is actually Ishalak, all right, which is make, all right. Now we have Bayal in the Hebrew, which is idol. And that is that for verse 4, all right. Not shall you make idol, all right. That's it for verse 4. Now for the next verse. The next verse is going to be verse 7. So the Lost on the Stone, when you look at it, it skipped from verse 4 to verse 7. And it's going to kick off with La'ah again. Hold on, let me erase that. And now we have Thasha'ah in the Hebrew. Thasha'ah in the Hebrew means take. I'm going to say it again. It's proper pronunciation. Thasha'ah. Thasha'ah means take. All right. And now we have Af in the Hebrew, which means the. And now we have Shum. Shum in the Hebrew means name. That's what that means. And now we have the Lord's name coming on in up next. Which is Yahweh. It's not Yah, it's not Yahweh, it's Yahweh. That's the Lord's name in the Hebrew. All right. And now we have La Shawa. It's like La Shawa. La Shawa means in vain. All right. So this is all that pertains to verse 4. I mean, verse 7. Verse 7 starting right here. It is La'ah, Dasha'ah. Af Chum Yahweh Lashawan. All right, which is not take the name Yahweh in vain, or thou shalt not take the name of the Lord in vain. All right, so that's verse 7. Now we're about to dive into verse 8 up now. All right, so now we have Za'ah Kawar. Za'ah Kawar means remembered in the Hebrew. Za'ah Kawar, it means remembered. Then we have Af. Af in Hebrew means the. That's exactly what we have right here. As far as what I put for verse 7. So now finishing verse 8, coming on down over here towards this side. We have Yawam. Yawam in the Hebrew means days. Let me move so I can maybe see that information there. And then we have Hasharaf. Ha is a preposition which means the. Sharaf in the Hebrew is Sabbath. All right, so that'd be the Sabbath. All right, so that's that as far as for verse 8. All right, so let me go ahead and dive in over towards the scripture in Exodus the 20th chapter where the Ten Commandments actually are. All right. Okay, so now at the verse, let me see, at the verse 8, now the verse that is coming up now is going to be verse 12. All right. Because on Little Stone to Stone, it skips from verse 8 and it goes regular, and then goes directly to verse 12. So that's what I'm going to put up now. All right, so the first word that we have here in verse 12 kabad ak. Kabad ak. All right, so kabad af in the Hebrew means honor. All right, so that would be kabad af, which means honor in the Hebrew. Now we have abiyak. Abiyak in the Hebrew means your father. And now we have wa'af. Wa'af in the Hebrew means and. And now we have over here amak, which means mother in the Hebrew. Amak would be your mother. All right. Now the root word here is ama because ama means mother, but by this kub, by being a part of amak, it makes it your mother. If it was just mother, it would just be ama. But by kub, by being here, it makes it amak, which means your mother in the Hebrew. All right. All right. So now we have ya rock one. Yeah, a rock one would be will belong. All right. And I believe I did miss. Let me erase this real quick. I believe I did miss this word here. Um, Lama'al is just basically just saying so that. But ya rock one in the Hebrew means will belong. All right. Now we have yum yum. Second. Erase that. Yummy yum in the Hebrew, which means your days. All right. That's what that means. Yummy yum. Your days in the Hebrew. Al, which would be upon. And then we have ha, ha adama, which would be the ground. All right. All right. So this is basically just half of verse 12. I believe verse 12 is the longest scripture that's on the list on the stone. So far we have um, kabad af, abayak, wa'af, ayam, second, amak. And now over here on this side we have lama'al, Rock 1, Yum Al, Ha Dama Ashar, which is saying, honor your father and your mother, so that would belong your days upon the ground, or in this case, the earth. That, and then we're going to go ahead and finish the rest of the scripture after I erase this one off the board. All right, so this is basically just half of verse 12. All right, which is off the Los on the Stone that the tribe of Issachar wrote. You understand? Hundreds of years ago. All right, and they did it in the ancient Hebrew, not the Assyrian. All right. So I'm about to leave this one up on the board. Allow y'all Akim while walking the copy this information on down. And now I'm gonna come on back up and then finish half verse 12 along with the rest of the scriptures that pertain towards the Ten Commandments of the Lord. All right. All right. So this right here is actually verse 4 through verse 4 through verse 12. I'm gonna give y'all some time to write this information down, collect this information. Now, and then as well, I'm going to come on back and then write out the first few verses that I had prior to this one. You understand? Because I know I had to slide up for a minute. Slocky about that. I didn't know I had to slide up for that long. So after I write this up, after you collect this information on down, I'm going to come on back and I'll write out what I had up on the board earlier. You understand? And miss a class. All right. So I'm going to give y'all some time to collect this information. Okay, so now what I'm about to do right now is quickly erase this and then put up what I had recently before I had verses 4 through 12 up in the board. You understand? Because I know I did have the slide up when I was writing this up in the board. All right. So I'm at the write verses 2 through 7 on up here pretty quickly. So just bear with me for a moment. Bear with me. I can while walking when I finish writing this first slide on out. I'm almost finished. All right, I'm just about finished, almost. All right, so this is it as far as for the first slide that I had up on the board earlier. When I actually did have that the Lost Lone Stone translation. So this is right here is it. So let me finish putting up the connectors really fast. The connectors and the separators. All right, so this right here is the first slide that I had up in the board at the very beginning of class. So I'm gonna allow you to collect this information on down, get it, so that way you can better know exactly how to pronounce these scriptures from also Lost on the Stone, and as well as know its translation. All right, so after this slide, I'm about to go back and continue on from what I was teaching, as far as from verse. Let me see. As far as from verse 12. You understand? After this slide, I'm about to come on back and then finish writing out the half of verse 12 in which I was doing. All right? In the meantime, if anybody online has any questions, comments, or concerns as it pertains towards the Lashawan Qadash, any scriptures that need to be broken on down, you understand? Just make sure y'all ask y'all questions, and I will make sure I will get to them. All right. All right. So this is the half. The rest of the half of verse 12 right here. So we have Elohim, which means your God in the Hebrew. And now we have Adon, which means have given you. And now we have Kal in the Hebrew, which means to you. And that's that as far as for verse 12. All right. Now for verse 13, up next, it kicks off with La'ah again, which means not. And now we have the Ra Tazak, all right, which means you must murder, all right, in the Hebrew. All right, so not you must murder in the Hebrew is La'ah Dara Tazak, all right. All right, so now verse 14. Verse 14 is going to kick off with La'ah again. So now we have Dana'ak, which means not you commit adultery. All right, that's verse 14. Verse 15. The scriptures are very short when it comes to us, the Hebrew in which the tribe of Isupk is broken on down. All right, so now we have La'ah, which means not. All right. So then we have the Ganab, Ganab in the Hebrew means must steal or you must steal. All right. So verse 15 saying, not you must steal. Another commandment from the Most High. Now for verse 16, it's kicking off with la'ah again, which means not. And now we have the aina. The aina in Hebrew means give testimony. And then we have bara'ik, which means against neighbor. All right. And now we have I, which is witness, and shakar in the Hebrew, which is pronounced as false. So really what verse 16 is saying, not give testimony against neighbor false witness. Meaning don't bear false witness against your neighbor. All right. So last but not least, we got verse 17 up now. All right, so in verse 17 it says, "Wakal," which means in all. Ashar in the Hebrew, which means that in this case. And then we have Lara'ik, which means is your neighbor. All right, we're moving for a second. Actually, I need to erase this for a quick second. Let me see. I actually have it right here. It's like about that. Akin while walking. There we go. All right, so we got la'ah, which is not. All right. All right, so far as far as for the last verse, from off the left on the stone, we have la'ah, which is not. We have dakamad in the Hebrew, which means desire. And now we have ashaf. Ashaf here is wife. And we're going to put right here in parentheses, running between, because ra'ik in the Hebrew means neighbor. And then coming on over here to finish it on off. We have your call, the Hebrew means and all. And we have a shar in this case here, which is that. And last but not least, the last word here in the Hebrew, which is pronounced as Lara-ike. All right, Lara-ike. And Lara-ike is your neighbor. All right. All right, so this right here is the last slide in which I have written up on the board as it pertains towards the lost on the stone. This is from verse 12 to verse 14. I mean, from verse 12 to verse 13, 14, and all the way up towards verse 15 and 17. You understand? There are some scriptures that does skip in the midst of the 20th chapter in the book of Exodus. You understand me? And the reason why is because they just wind up writing out what they need to write out towards the main points of what we need to keep as a nation of people, and off and on the lost on the stone. You understand? So this right here is basically just the last portion of what's written on the lost on the stone as far as for how I translated it. You understand? So y'all brothers and sisters online can be to copy this information on down. You understand? And as well as what I said earlier in the Mystic class, if you would like a copy of the Lashawan Qadash chart over here and what you see, you can also and as well place your email in the Mystic class in the comment section down below, so that way I can better forward this to you along with this Lust on the Stone translation as well. You understand? So if you would like a copy of either one of these, you can just let me know and I'll make sure I get on out to you. All right? That's my time, Israel. Shalom.